Hey everyone, welcome to Saturday Night Live. So, it's been an absolutely busy day. Like everything I wanted to talk about pretty much went out the window. Woke up this morning and had very interesting news and all that good stuff. But before we get too deep into it, gotta open up. Tonight we're drinking Bum Energy. I had no sponsor. This is cola flavored. I don't even remember where we got that. I think we got these at Walmart. It's supposed to be like one cup of coffee. They are good. They are very good. So let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me. Make sure we are 5x5, etc. All right. So sorry about the past 2 weeks off. So obviously we had Valentine's Day. Definitely was not streaming. Spend time with your family, your booze, all that good stuff. And then last Saturday night, Mrs. Guru and I had a lovely evening at a local ski resort. We were participating in the Irreverent Warrior event. They were tubing or something. But due to the car accident we had, we are not allowed to do tubing or skiing or anything like that. So instead, we met up with a bunch of our friends in the bar and we had dinner and drinks and all that good stuff. And that's what I was doing with my Saturday night. I was hanging out with my brothers and sisters that are veterans. So, but this Saturday, we are here. So let's jump into it. And I think I have everything set up. It has been a little bit dicey trying to get everything set up. All right, here we go. Let me jump to this. There we go. All right, first and foremost, obviously, guys, merch store. Always plug the merch store. So, you want to help support the channel? Get some merch, okay? Right there, the Freedom Through Violence, 250th anniversary for America. The front says, Freedom Through Violence since 1776. And on the back, we have the Retro Gun Guru logo. So, you want to help support the channel, feel free. Down in the description below will be a link for the merch store, etc. Blah, blah, blah. And of course, I just ask that you guys simply like this video, share it with everybody you know that loves the Second Amendment. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. It really helps. Definitely get in the chat, guys. And, get in super chats if you can and all that. And I think somewhere in the chat, Mrs. Guru might be bouncing around talking to people. She said she was going to join tonight. So, all right, a lot to cover. First and foremost, we're going to cover a bunch of 2A news. And then I want to talk about the big story of the day, which is we just went and kicked the shit out of Iran. So we'll get into all of that. I'm kind of torn on the whole thing. I don't like us intervening in other people's business, other countries. But I think this one was a long time coming. And it's the first time that we have an American president with a set of cojones that put into action what we'd only been running our mouths about for the past 40 years or so. All right, so let's get into some 2A news. That's what you guys are here for. In case you guys missed it, Debbie Wasserman Schultz came out and said our failure to institute common sense gun laws fuels cartel violence in Mexico. I think that's a bunch of horseshit, but it is what it is. I mean, Debbie Wasserman Schultz is a nutbag. But the reason I'm bringing it up, because we all know this whole Mexican cartel thing is BS. Why am I bringing it up? Because her and Blumenthal just introduced a new bill. Granted, this bill is probably going to go nowhere, but she introduced it into Congress, and everybody's favorite senator, Tricky Dick Blumenthal, he submitted the same bill into the Senate. So what are we talking about? Well, a cursory search with Google AI is talking about Jamie's Law. It's a recurring piece of federal legislation reintroduced by Senator Richard Blumenthal, a Democrat from Connecticut. and Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, a Democrat from Florida, to require background checks for ammunition purchases. This is at a federal level. So a few states have some really jacked up laws when it comes to getting a background check for ammunition. I mean, as bad as we are here, we're not even that bad. But they want to take this federal across the board. Again, like I said, it's probably DOA. But most recently, it was reintroduced in February of 2026, and the bill aims to close loopholes in federal law and currently allows individuals prohibited from owning firearms to still purchase ammunition without a background check. Here's the deal. Why are they buying ammo if they're prohibited from owning guns? It means they have no guns, so the ammunition is worthless to them. Or is it because little hood boogers out there that are career criminals that aren't supposed to have guns anyways? And again, I don't think little gangbangers are going into the local FFL to lawfully purchase ammunition. They're probably buying this stuff, on the streets, off the dark web, or whatever they do. So key provisions of Jamie's Law, and it is named after a victim in one of the mass shootings. Ammunition background checks requires all ammunition buyers to undergo an instant background check through the FBI's National Instant Background Check System, or NICS. So kind of like buying a gun. It's the same system used for firearm purchases. Licensed vendors. It will mandate that only licensed vendors can sell ammunition to the public. They are trying to close it down to where I couldn't sell you ammunition. So if I've got a stockpile of 9mm Luger and I've got, say, 70,000 rounds, but you're unable to order a case, well, I could always just sell you a case. I mean, obviously not here in Connecticut. You need a permit for that. But if you got a permit, I could. You show it to me. I'm like, okay, I could sell. I'm not selling ammo, by the way. That's not what this is about. But sometimes, people have a bunch of ammo and they live in a free state. Maybe their neighbor needs some. They can sell it to them. This would prohibit that. This would force everybody to go through an FFL. Now, how would they do something like that? Oh, it's easy. You have to fill out paperwork. It's going to be something like a 4473. But honestly, anytime they do stuff like this and they add paperwork, which is just adding bureaucracy to everything, it's just a backdoor way of basically tracking your purchases when it comes to, say, ammunition. They'll see what you're buying, how much of it you're buying, etc. Now, even here in Connecticut, if I wanted to order bulk ammo from online, I could do that. Even though we live in a restrictive state, I've done it in the past. You go to certain websites. The one that's off the top of my head would be like cheaperthandirt.com, which I don't endorse. I'm just letting you know, that's just the first one that popped in my head. I had to upload my driver's license, I had to upload my state permit, and then I was able to order ammunition in bulk because they could see that I was legit. And there's some paperwork you got to fill out, liability stuff and all that. But they shipped it right to my home, which was great because at the time, I was getting a better deal in bulk there than I was from our local FFL. So that's what I did. Let's talk about the background and context. Okay, right here it tells you that naming the law is in honor of Jamie Guttenberg, one of the 17 victims of the 2018 Marjory Stoneman Douglas High shooting in Parkland, Florida. Advocacy. This bill is strongly supported by Jamie's father, Fred Guttenberg, and organizations like Brady, Everytown, Gun Safety, Giffords. Wow, look at that. It's your usual suspects. Legislative history. Though introduced multiple times during 2021, 23, and 25, it has historically faced challenges in passing both chambers of Congress. Yeah, there's absolutely no appetite for it. Zero. Now, if we jump over to Blumenthal's page, which I just feel dirty looking at it, this is coming out February 19th. So this is kind of old, guys. U.S. Senator Blumenthal and Rep. Devin Wasserman Schultz announced the introduction of Jamie's Law and a common sense piece of legislation that would require instant background checks to prevent criminals from illegally purchasing ammunition. Again, in Connecticut, you have to show your permit to buy ammo, but This isn't about stopping criminals because we already discussed that criminals don't go to your local FO. This is to stop just normal people from buying ammo, or at least add hurdles to it to make it painful. They say this legislation closes dangerous loopholes requiring background checks, blah, blah, blah. No family should endure heartbreaking agony of losing a loved one to gun violence. Yet every day, families across America still endure this torment and a lifetime of anguish it brings, blah, blah. They tug at your emotions and your heartstrings, which is what they're very good at doing. Never facts, never stone cold truths and data, statistics. No, instead, it's, your feels. I feel this way, therefore we need to do something. If you watch any of the legislation that gets pushed through dealing with gun control, it's always about feelings. It's never going to stop crime. We discuss this in my class all the time. Criminals be doing criminal stuff. All the laws in the world won't stop criminals. I guarantee you, tomorrow morning you could wake up, Lamont and our General Assemblies could ban every single gun in our state. Every single one. From flintlocks all the way up to howitzers. And you know who still would have guns? Criminals. It wouldn't do nothing. It does nothing to stop criminals from doing the criminal stuff. What does stop them is actually enforcing the laws that already exist and enforcing them to the fullest extent. Make the punishment hurt. If they do something bad, like commit some sort of crime of violence with a firearm, put them away for a long time. Make it hurt. Make them understand that if they commit a crime with a gun, they're going to go away for a long time. But that's not how it works in Connecticut. What we do here, in the infinite wisdom of our leadership that run this state of ours, is we're soft on crime. We're a no pursuit state. And we will either nolly, drop, or plead down these horrible criminals because, like they always say, well, they don't know any better. Well, they didn't have the same opportunities that you did. But then they find a single mother who just made a simple mistake by not paying attention to law changes, and the state throws everything into her. All the money, the full weight and power of the state to crush her. And Trump charges up to where the law says it's supposed to be a misdemeanor, but no. We are going to go after a Class D felony, and we are going to destroy her. That's what you're up against. Soft on crime, crack down on the citizens that are normally law-abiding. You make a small boo-boo, and they're going to hammer you. And if you guys didn't see the last video I put up, it went up yesterday at 8 a.m., and it is the two-way roundtable where it got Lock and Load Podcast, Connecticut Gun Bench, and myself together in a room to where we discuss gun laws and the way they're implemented and all that good stuff. And I've even taken it upon me to throw some shorts and clips up talking about it because I normally don't do that, but Josh over at Lock and Load's like, man, you really need to do it. So I've been giving it a try, guys, and I've been grabbing some cool clips, throwing them up here and there. So you guys let me know what you think. If you like them, I'll keep doing it. If you don't like them, then I'll try to just go back to normal. And of course, if you follow my social media pages, they've been a flurry of spiciness lately. So got a little buck wild the other day with it and just started putting up random stuff. All right, let's talk about this. I came across this, and I really wanted to talk to you guys about this. This is coming from the Daily Caller. It says, Democrat mayor says gun owners should be ashamed. Democrat Mayor David LeGrand of Grand Rapids, Michigan, claimed during a Monday community forum that people should start shaming gun owners. Here's my thing with that. I own guns, and many of you own guns. I'm sure all of you do. Good luck shaming me because I don't care. I own guns because I like guns. I know you like guns. That's one of the jokes in my class. When we start off, it's like, what makes me qualified to teach? I like guns. That's it. I've touched one once or twice. You could wag your finger at me and ooh me all you want. I don't care. It's my God-given right. It's that simple. So go ahead, feel free to try and shame me for owning a firearm. You can go piss up a flagpole because it ain't gonna work. See what else he says. Legrand's comments came during a regular scheduled Mayor Monday forum that took place after a deadly police shooting in Daquan Johnson on Wednesday, according to Fox 17, a Grand Rapids-based outlet. Reported during the forum, Legrand weighed in not only on firearm ownership, in which he said that gun owners should feel ashamed, but also in policies involving the pursuit of suspects and police use of dogs. So basically, let's not chase the criminals, and God forbid you use a dog. Well, dogs are faster, and the bork bork nom noms like to chew on people. You know, if you're a bad guy and you don't comply when the cops tell you to do things, they're gonna let the dog come chew on you. Mrs. Guru, she sent me some TikToks this morning dealing with the shooting we had in Hartford with a person who they allege was having some sort of mental episode. This individual did have a knife, a very large kitchen knife in their right hand. As far as I could tell from some of the video I saw, they tried to de-escalate, and when all else failed, they gave him a dose of leticillin. He would not comply. He had a deadly weapon, and the police did what the police do. Now, if he had dropped the knife and complied, it would have been fine. If he had the help that he needed mentally, I'm sure none of this would have ever happened. I know it's not very popular, but I always tell people, hey, we should make asylums great again. People need help, and sometimes they're going to need help unwillingly. That's what these places are for. But it's an unpopular opinion. Let's see what else the article says. Nobody gardens with a gun, right? I would. Nobody changes their tire with a gun. I would, because I always have a gun with me. There is what therefore is killing human beings. Jesus. And so it's really hard. I think that the community will have to start having shaming around gun possession, Legrand said in a video posted to Facebook on Fox 17 reporter Josh Berry. I think that if I think of you got a gun, you should be ashamed of yourself. I really do. Now, let's see. It goes, now, I'm sorry that it's going to be a soundbite of the night, but the NRA is going to be mad at me. But, like, you know, I get we got a Second Amendment. God, it's so hard reading people's speech when it's a direct quote. I get it, Legrand continued. But, you know, you should be ashamed of yourself if you smoke. You do you, boo. You do whatever you want. It's not against the law. I think if you own a gun, you should be ashamed of yourself, and you really should do some self-reflection. I do self-reflection, and I'm happy with my guns. I want more. The only roadblock between me and more guns is my wallet. And Mrs. Guru's got to get her fair share, too. Let's see what else he says. I just see so much harm, just like cigarettes. I see so much harm, more harm done than benefit. And during an event, he also criticized the police department's use of dogs to help pursue and subdue suspects. Dogs are faster. Dogs chomp down, bring the suspect to the ground, and get them to comply. So, listen, canines are awesome. You send that little hair missile off, tell them to go chew on the bad guy, and they're going to do it. It's a great way to get a criminal to comply without putting another human in harm's way. I don't wish harm upon the poor puppies, but they are a tool. That is their job. They are sworn officers. They have rank, just like in the military. And if you hurt a police canine, it's like hurting a cop. And just like if you ever hurt a canine in the military, you're about to feel the full wrath of said unit because nobody touches the puppies. It's that simple. All right. Sound off in the comments, guys. Let me know what you think. You're going to jump over to this one. This was a big one. I did a video on it, and I want to make sure I covered it. Minnesota advances semi-auto firearm ban allowing warrantless home inspections of gun owners. I thought this was really, really big, guys. So what this is, in case you missed the video, is in Minnesota, they're pushing forth a crap ton of gun control legislation. That being said, one of the things they want to do is ban AR 15s and guns like it. Okay? You can keep, they have a grandfather clause. It says you can keep the ones you currently own. However, they must be stored in accordance with state law. And by you agreeing to keep your grandfathered in AR, you are agreeing to allow police to come and inspect your storage unit, as in where you store your firearms, anytime they want. They just show up, knock, and you've got to let them in so they can inspect your storage to make sure you're complying. Now, if you don't want this, you have to forfeit your firearm. You have to turn it in to the police. No compensation. You just have to get rid of it. It's confiscated. So, Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz, with all the stuff that's been happening there with the Leering Center and all of the corruption, they've decided not only are we going to trample on your Second Amendment right, we're going to trample all over your Fourth Amendment right and a bunch of others. Because why not? Now, the reason I'm bringing it up, yes, it's Minnesota. Yeah, it doesn't affect us here. Do I think it's going to go through? It's looking like it. I mean, it's really looking like they're pushing this through hard. But things like this, I see it. And if it flies in Minnesota, I bet you bottom dollar, at some point, Lamont, Tong, or some other idiot in charge of Connecticut, Hochul in New York, one of them, they're going to try this here. They're going to try it in New York. They'll try it in Mass. All the blue states will do it. They'll be like, oh, we're not saying we're going to take your guns away. You can keep them. We just have to come look at them anytime we want. How about you go piss off? But, I don't know. What do you guys think? What are the chances of something like this coming here to our tiny little shithole state, the little dumpster fire called Connecticut? This is insane. I know I did a video and we were talking about all these different states that are going and doing gun control. I don't know what the hell's in the water this year, but when all the legislative sessions opened up throughout the country at the state level, we had states like Illinois, Washington, Washington, California, New Mexico, Minnesota, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, all the blue states are pushing through massive gun control bills. Now, Connecticut's legislative cycle this year is all financial stuff. But the governor did put forth his bill that I don't know if it dies in committee or if it just gets ramrodded through. But as it stands right now, it would ban, as of July 1st, 2026, all firearms that use a cruciform trigger bar, which is all your Glocks, Shadow Systems. Now, the way it's worded today is July 1st, 2026, FFLs could no longer sell these firearms. You and I could no longer transfer these firearms. It means you're stuck with them. It's not saying that we can't own them, but again, it's in the Judiciary Committee, and then, it's going to get manipulated, finessed, massaged, and then we don't know what's going to pop out. And then even if it pops out, we're like, oh, okay, it's not that bad. It's going to go through the Senate and the House and all that stuff, and it's going to happen just like 7042 happened. It was in the committee at 6 pages, came out at 4 pages, and everybody, CCL, was like, it's a win! They took 2 pages away, yay! And the CCL went from opposing it to just indifferent, which I'd oppose it no matter what, which I did. So then it goes to the Senate, and I think it came out at like 16 pages, and then it went on to the next level, and it ended at 26 pages before it was signed into law by Lamont, taking effect October 1st of 2025. So, yeah, it came out at 4 pages, and it just kept getting worse, because as other bills die, they took parts of those bills and put them in 7042. And that's how you got that stupid, weird clause about not being able to sell firearms where it's reasonably foreseeable that you can convert a legal firearm to an illegal firearm, which nobody can explain that one. What does it mean? Because every semi-automatic is a broken full auto. A regular double-barreled shotgun, which is the funniest FUD gun of all, reasonably foreseeable, I could see somebody making it illegal by using a hacksaw and cutting its barrel. Does that mean we can't sell those anymore? Nobody knows. Nobody can answer it. They're just aloof, and they're just like, me, we'll figure it out later. And that's the problem with the law. Nobody understands what it actually means. Nobody knows how to interpret it, and nobody knows how to enforce it. And they just keep making it up as they go along. And you can never get a straight answer from SLFU because they don't answer questions. So when we're trying to comply, we're trying to get within compliance of these new laws, and we ask for guidance from the department that enforces said law, we get a meh, no answers. And that is what really irks me, because we want to comply, we want to stay law abiding, and when we ask questions, what does this mean, we get nothing. And that's how you lead to some sort of little boo-boo where they get a wild hair up their ass and they're like, now we're going to prosecute you. We had no idea why. Oh, it's illegal. Well, why don't you tell us that? Well, that's not our job. So, get out of here. I didn't know if you guys saw this, but New York Senate advances a bill requiring a 10-day waiting period for all firearm purchases. It's not law. They're pushing it through. But again, these things, they go through this year for New York and other states. You know what comes around the bend next year? The big legislative session, which means all these stupid little bills and laws that get passed in other states this year will find their way to our state next year. So I just thought I'd give you guys a heads up. All right. In case you guys didn't see this, this is what I woke up to this morning. I just wake up, get my stuff, I start going through messages on the phone, my emails, and up pops a headline that we attacked Iran. Now, this was done in the middle of the night. I'd actually watched this a couple times because I thought it was live. It wasn't. It was pre-recorded because there's a jump in editing where his arms move. And I just wanted to play a little bit of it real quick in case you guys had missed it. And then we'll press on.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days.
In case you guys don't know, some of you are too young. This was back. That happened while Jimmy Carter was president. And then we had an election, and we elected Reagan. Now, I was just a wee lad. Some of you weren't even around. But when we elected Reagan as a country, Iran immediately released said hostages because Reagan said, in no uncertain terms, if they did not release the hostages, he was going to wipe them off planet Earth. And as soon as he won, the hostages were released.
In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel.
We should, to me, that's an act of war. We should have immediately retaliated, but we didn't.
In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole.
Now, the Cole, that was bad. A ship was refueling, and A tiny little dinghy came up along the side and detonated. I was active duty at this point, and I was TAD to the chaser unit in Norfolk. And all I had to do, my whole job, was to just go pick up idiot sailors and Marines and drop them off at the brig or bring them back to where we were, where it was like a baby brig where they were just living under restriction and we had to march them to chow and all that. It was a pretty cool gig. I did it for a couple of months and it was cake. It was definitely eerie picking somebody up from like a local police station. We're armed. The cops are armed. We handcuff them and all that good stuff. And then we drove them to the brig, which is a military prison. You gotta check your firearm in and a bunch of other stuff. At the gate shack, you drive your prisoner in for a strip search and everything else. And you swap your cuffs out, all that good stuff. And you have to do your intake and all that. So it was actually really fun. Now, why am I bringing that up? Because one of my partners during this whole time TAD they're doing this was one of the corpsmen that was front and center at the Cole bombing. The doctor on board the boat, from what I remember, the doctor on board the boat was killed. And it was up to her and a few other corpsmen to do everything. The emergency surgeries, the triage, all of it. But because the ship was so jacked up and they had to basically, pick it up with another ship and bring it back to Norfolk, everybody on board ship that was unnecessary, like her, were sent off TAD. And she happened to be TAD with me. It was pretty cool. And some of the stuff she talked about and showed me, it was an act of war, and we should have immediately retaliated against anybody and everybody that even thought about touching our boats. That is rule number one. Don't touch our boats. You touch our boats, you're going to have problems. All right, let's continue.
Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels in international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror.
All right, we all pretty much know what the president said. Now, he lays out a really good, eye-opening take on, they had this coming, basically. Outside of that, we know they've been pursuing nuclear weapons. That is the last country that needs nuclear weapons, especially since the people in charge of that country are all about the 12th Imam. And if you guys don't know what the 12th Imam is, you really should do your research about. They want to bring the 12th Imam to the front. They want to bring the 12th Imam back to earth. It's kind of like Second Coming of Christ, but with a lot more blood and death. So that's what they believed. Well, for years, decades, we've been bringing them to the negotiation table. Even the UN put sanctions and all these rules into place to stop them, or at least curb them from making nuclear weapons. They're very ambitious. Now, they always said, we just want it for clean energy. We just want it for reactors. Fast forward to today, I'm sure you guys all know this, but we were negotiating with them because Trump gave them an ultimatum months back. He said, come to the table or we're going to make you hurt. And we told them basically part of our deal was, and it wasn't just us and Iran. There was, I think it was Oman was like our middleman. And they were the ones that were kind of trying to negotiate everything for us and them. And this was all in Switzerland or Sweden or one of those S countries. And we said, listen, we don't want you to enrich any more uranium. We're not saying you can't have it. You can purchase it from other countries, but you can't enrich it anymore. And they said, no, absolutely not. We are not doing that. We will continue to enrich the uranium, blah, blah, blah. That being said, At the same time all this was going on, their version of Parliament was chanting death to America, death to Israel, death to the big Satan and death to the little Satan. They're burning our flag and rattling their saber because, we've always given them threats and we've never followed through. We've never actually come to blows with them here and there, maybe. But I mean, I remember, a couple of years ago, they took a bunch of U.S. Navy sailors hostage. And, we begged to get them back. We were like, please give us our sailors back. Again, you touched the boat. We should have kicked their ass then, okay? And again, like I told you guys, I'm torn on this because, again, I don't want to get involved in all these endless wars. I don't like nation building. I think I can't say that's none of our business because what they were doing was giving aid and money to numerous terrorist outfits throughout the world, whether it be Hamas, the Houthis, Boko Haram, and the list goes on and on and on. For Trump's first term, we, as a country, did a lot to curb Iran's economy. They were broke. They had no money left. We were really hurting them with sanctions and a bunch of other stuff. We were forcing countries to stay away from them. And then Trump lost, Biden takes over. And the first thing Biden did, or his administration, is they released billions upon billions of dollars that we had seized and froze to prevent the funding of all these terror groups throughout the world. Well, the administration gave them their money back and was like, please use this for a good cause. And they said, no problem. And then they fully funded all these little terror groups out there. And, we saw an uptick in attacks. Well, this time we said, listen, here's what the deal is. You negotiate or we're going to kick your ass. And again, like I said, we're negotiating and in their parliament, they're like death to America, blah, 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 blah. That brings us to today. Trump announces that we're launching airstrikes. And normally when we do airstrikes and we do missiles and all that stuff, we do them in the dead of night. When it's dark out, especially if it's a new moon, because nobody sees it coming. This was different. Instead of doing it in the dark of night, we just did it in daylight. We're like, we don't care if you see it coming. In fact, we hope you see it coming. Well, the Iranian leadership was pretty arrogant because I guess they went out and about doing their own thing today. And, we got this announcement from Trump. Khamenei, one of the most evil people, and this is coming from Trump. This is the official Truth Social page of the President of the United States. One of the most evil people in history is dead. This is not only justice for the people of Iran, but for the great Americans and those people of many countries throughout the world. You have been that have been either killed or mutilated by Khamenei and his gang of bloodthirsty thugs. He was unable to avoid our intelligence and highly sophisticated tracking systems and worked closely with Israel, and there was not a thing he or any of the other leaders could have done. They were killed along with him. This is the single greatest chance of the Iranian people to take back their country, and we're hearing that many of the IRGC military and other security and police forces no longer want to fight and are looking for immunity from us. And as I said last night, now they can have immunity later. They only get death now. So hopefully the IRGC and the police will peacefully merge with the Iranian patriots and work together as a unit to bring back the country to the greatness it deserves. And he goes on and on and on. Right now, as far as I understand, like nobody's in charge of the country. I'm used to have your holdouts and all that. But the people in Iran, from the news reports that I saw, are celebrating. Not only are they celebrating Iran, but they're celebrating here in our country, in California, New York, and all across. As soon as they heard Khomeini was dead, they erupted in celebration. Simultaneously, there were a bunch of awfuls and other liberals, they were all white, protesting outside of Iran's embassy, protesting against us for doing this, even though the Iranians are happy. Um, this is very, I mean, I don't want to say it's near and dear, but it does hit home more for me than anything because when I was at SCSU for my MBA, one of my instructors, real good guy, we did not agree on economic policies whatsoever. We argued in many classes over Adam Smith's Invisible Hand of the Market, which is what I believe in, and he liked um, something else. He kind of liked Keynesian economics, which I think is insane. But anyways, when he introduced himself the first time, he told us that he came to America from Iran to do his master's degree and his doctorate. And while he was here in the States doing his doctorate, the Iranian Revolution happened. And he literally was like, oh, I guess I'm not going back. And he became a United States citizen. He loves this country, even though he did not agree on anything when it came to economics or business or how things should work. When it came for the time for me to write my thesis, out of all the professors that I could deal with, even though he and I argued all the time, we had a mutual respect. When I needed my advisor for my thesis, he was the one I picked. Because I knew he'd be honest, he'd hold my feet to the fire, and he would force me to prove my ideas and my convictions and hold me to account. And I've got to say that writing that thesis, which if you guys have advanced degrees, you know is a real pain in the ass, was actually one of the more pleasurable times I ever had writing anything. I wrote a big one. It was really big. He loved it. He, of course, didn't agree with certain areas. And I had a good time. I wonder how he feels about all this because he got stuck in America for the better, but because Iran went through the Iranian Revolution, and he goes, I am not going back to that mess. You know, he came over in the 70s when Iran still had miniskirts and girls went to college and they were out in the street partying and dancing in nightclubs, and it looked like just a Middle Eastern New York because people were free. And then the Ayatollah took over, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to today. And, well, he's dead. He's dead, and so is the vast majority of the leadership in Iran because for over 40 years, they effed around, and today they found out. It was reported earlier today when I was in class that he was killed, and a lot of people were hesitant because Iran's like, he's not dead. Now, between the president and a bunch of other news outlets, this mofo's dead. It's that simple. Just to confirm, went to the Daily Caller, War on Peace, breaking, Trump confirms Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is dead. Yep, that's it. No mas for him, right there. Boom, President Donald Trump confirms Iranian Supreme Leader is killed during military strikes carried out Saturday by the United States and Israel. And from what Trump was saying, it looks like we were tracking him and we saw the opportunity and we just dumped it on him. Now, when we go to, I pulled this up on X, see if it comes back up. When we go to Polybond, right now it's 50-50. 56% chance he's dead versus, that he's not. So if you're into the whole poly market and all that stuff, there you go. It's right there. Even people are still split. A lot of the news outlets, the president and Israel and a bunch of other countries are all like, yeah, he's dead. So I'm pretty sure he's dead. But hey, you know what? We got to give it some time. But we were talking in class about this because I was like, we were talking about blowback and worried that, because we did this, a lot of sleeper cells came through during the last administration, and they all might start popping off. So I was like, you might want to make sure you get all your stuff in order. Make sure you've got a little extra, some canned foods, water, because, times over the next few weeks might get really spicy because all these little sleeper cells might start popping off doing bad things. But, maybe nothing happens, but I doubt it. I mean, I'm sure something's going to happen. Maybe not here, but something's going to happen somewhere. So, I think just make sure you guys have a little extra just in case. And then we were talking how I thought it was funny that Israel and the United States gave ultimatums over decades. We gave warnings. We gave ample amount of time for them to stop doing what the world wanted them to stop doing. And then we just went and kicked their ass. And Iran, in to retaliate, launched missiles at all their neighbors. I mean, like, they hit the naval station in Bahrain. Well, Bahrain was not happy that happened. That kingdom immediately threw their support behind us. They hit Saudi Arabia. They hit Jordan. They hit Qatar and all these other Muslim countries around. And these countries, they all got pissed and joined the side of Israel and America against Iran. It's pretty bad, when you piss off all the other Muslim countries and are like, nah, you deserve to get your ass kicked. So I just thought that was funny. Because you'd think they all stick together. The UAE was super pissed. They hit Dubai. I saw some videos where they hit that big 5-star hotel that looks like a sail. They hit that, and they hit some other stuff. So when we go to X and we just do a quick search of Iran, they've got a bunch of videos for Operation Epic Fury. You can see retaliation. Tourists in Dubai are seeking shelter in basements. Yeah, because Iran is shooting missiles into Dubai. And if you guys have never been to Dubai, you can look at these people. Okay, it's a Muslim theocracy. They've got a king, the whole 9 yards. But look at the way these people are dressed. You know why? Dubai is very Western. Yes, you have your traditionalists. But in Dubai, most people are walking around just like you and me, men and women. You go to the beach, they're in bikinis. You got the women swimming in burqas. You got the women swimming in bikinis. Everyone gets along. And there's tons of people from all around the world there. And they have got the craziest water park. It's called the Wild Wadi Water Park. It is the only water park that I know of in the world where not only do you go down the water slides, but you go up the water slides. It's a wild water park. I got to spend a whole day there. That you get a little waterproof map, and you get up to a platform, and you tell the lifeguard, because everybody speaks English there, you tell the little lifeguard what route you want to take, and they shove you into these water jets that shoot you up to the next level. And you go around, and they got this huge lazy river that goes around the entire park with bars everywhere. So you can paddle your little ass in, grab a drink, yes, in a Muslim country, and then go back into the lazy river drinking. Again, it's built for not only the people that live there, but for Westerners. So when you go to the grocery store, it's very halal. They've got everything you look around, there's all halal stuff. And in the back, they've got the haram section. So if you're like living there and working, whether you're like a real estate agent or whatever, you're like, man, I really want some bacon. Well, you just go to the local grocery store, you go in the back where the haram section is, go through the doors, they've got bacon, they've got pork chop, they got everything that, well, Muslims don't eat. They cater to everybody. So Dubai is a nice place. Like, going anywhere in the Middle East, I'd go to Dubai. Plus, it's pretty cool watching cops drive Lamborghinis. So I'd say I just want to let you guys know if you went to X, you're going to see a lot of celebrating and a lot of this type of stuff, incoming stuff. This is what Israel and America will hear One wrong move towards Iran. Yeah, no. You know what we heard? We heard you guys died. That's what we heard. We kicked their ass. All right, we're jump up to me. I want to get into your super chats and regular chats and all that good stuff. So let's see what we got here, because we got about 9 minutes to go. So Eric says, "Good evening, Guru Tribe." I guess, is that what we're sticking with for our community name? A Guru Tribe? Built our own tribe? I don't know. Mrs. Gun Guru's in the chat. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, honey. Let's see. Robert Cochran says, all good. Yep, can hear you loud and clear. Joe Bubblegum says, if only we could unseat the Lamont regime. That would be fantastic. Now, he is running for re-election, but we do have some decent Republican candidates. I mean, we got Aaron Stewart, who was the mayor of New Britain. I don't know much about her, but meh. Then we got Fazio. Lock and Load podcast did a fantastic sit down with Ryan Fazio, who is a state senator from Greenwich. And listen, he lives in a house that's smaller than mine. Okay, he is not this rich bigwig, because all the Democrats are like, well, he lives in Greenwich, he's rich. Fucking Lamont's like a millionaire, if not billionaire. I don't want to hear it. Fazio is just a normal guy. He just happens to live there in a dinky little 800 square foot home in Greenwich, which is, you know, I'm sure it's incredibly expensive, but it's a tiny house. But he had some good things to say. So if you haven't seen the Lock and Load podcast with Fazio, you guys should check it out. John Q Pro 2A says Blumenthal is an idiot. Yes, he is. Yes. And one of my fondest memories of Blumenthal is when I was at, it was something like Vet Rocks at Mohegan. It was some big veteran thing. There's tons of us there, like at least 1,000 or more. And Blumenthal showed up to give a speech, and all the veterans pretty much turned their backs on him. Yeah, we ignored him. June Bubblegum says, I'm betting Tom's going to try and run for Blumenthal's Senate seat when he finally turns to dust. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I bet you that happens. Tong, I mean, I don't know. He's got a good gig. He's the president of the AG's Association, and he's a little psychopath. He's a little megalomaniac. I think he likes his position where he's at, but, you know, I mean, with the right endorsements, he might run for Senate or something else. But, yeah, Tong's just, he's a POS. That's my thoughts. Let's see, John Q Pro 2A says, if they can have their free speech, then I can have my Second Amendment. Hear, hear. Louis Torres says, hello to all. And the Viking Queen says, good evening. Good evening, Viking Queen. I hope you are cuddling with Clay, the Claymore. Which, I still have my Clay, the Claymore. He's chilling right there. Louis Torres says, I can't win in the blue states that is so anti-gun. All right. Or you can't win in the blue state that is so anti-gun. This state is just, I think our state is a lost cause. I'm so black-pilled on it. June Bubblegum said, Connecticut, the state where freedom goes to die. Yes, that's why I have the march, the unconstitution state, because we are not the Constitution state. We are the unconstitution state. Louis Torres came back with, I hate about blue states just limited firearm choices and ammunition limitations. Yeah, they're whittling away at it. They couldn't do it in one full sweep, so they just take a little here, a little there, and people are like, well, that's not that bad. You know, it's just that. You know, you get those people out there like we're talking about banning the cruciform trigger bar, and I literally saw people come out of the war like, well, clocks are stupid anyways. You should just get yourself a good revolver. I was like, that's not the point, my man. Eventually they'll come for those. June Bubble says, don't forget about mag restrictions. Yep. Hey, but hopefully we hear something about the Supreme Court. We haven't heard squat. It was supposed to go to cert yesterday. I haven't heard anything. Eddie hasn't gotten back to me. As soon as I hear something, I'll let you guys know. We probably won't know till next week if they even heard it, because all of that happens behind closed doors, and it usually doesn't come out to a week after. But if they did pick it up for cert or one of the other ones, it would be some good news. Eric Boren says, all these laws are a catch-22 for the law-abiding citizen, but not for criminals. Correct. Louis Torres says 3,000 rounds is just a month of training, competition, try to pass law ammunition on the line. Yeah, it's insane. Oh, somebody retracted a message. Oh, that sucks. Louis Torres says Supreme Court sits on their ass on conference on Friday. Yeah, well, like I said, we won't know. We won't know until next week. Chewing Bubblegum says the Supreme Court is a lost cause. Alito is about to retire, and they simply refuse to hear any AW ban or mag ban cases. Listen, I hope they pick it up before Alito leaves. But Alito's getting up there in age, and he's like, he wants to retire and enjoy, you know, what little life he has left. You don't want to be like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, where you're a crypt keeper sitting at the bench. That's insane. Louis Torres says that I agree all blue states are a lost cause. Choice state, blue state, take a move out of state, your freedom, and your 2A rights. Here's the problem with moving out of your 2A state, or your anti-2A state. I'm not saying not to. It happened during COVID, and it happens with all these gun laws. People that want their guns, they're like, all right, I don't like the state. They pack up and they leave, and they go somewhere where they're allowed to have their guns. So the red states get redder, the blue states get bluer, and at some point it all implodes. Instead of having a mixture throughout the country of a give and take, we self-isolate and we get extra polarized because Democrats just go fucking insane when it comes to these laws. They chase people out. See, John 4860 says, I'm like, good evening, everyone, and good evening, Guru. Well, good evening, sir. Welcome. See, Eric says, Trump just went all-out gangster in Iran at the time he was attacked, LOL. Here's what I'm thinking. I was talking to Mrs. Guru about this. I think, in the past, when we have done things, they've always held the reins back on the military. I think Trump and Secretary of War Hegseth just let the dog off the leash. They just said, you know what? You're the military. Here's what we want to accomplish. Do it. Do whatever you want. And I think they did. I mean, look what we did to Venezuela. We used some weird weapons there. I don't know. Let's see. John Fraser says, blue states are a lost cause. Convincing voters not affiliated with either major political party and minor ones outweigh party member votes. Yeah. It's the way it is here in Connecticut. I want to grab some more. Robert Cochran says, Dubai has changed a lot since the early 90s. Last time I was in Dubai, it was post 9/11, but it was pretty nice there. I went there 06. So I know that was 20 years ago, but I've seen some videos from Dubai and I know people that live there. It's still the same. Jay Foreman just got here. We'll watch the VOD. Yep, that's fine. And then, of course, the last one we got, Louis Torres. Monday, we'll all know about the Supreme Court. Yes, hopefully we will. As soon as I know something, you'll know something. I guarantee I will do a video on it. But we have reached the magical hour of 2000, which means instead of listening to me run my mouth, you guys should go hang out with your family, go relax, go chill. Tomorrow, getting up, I'm teaching another class, and I can't wait for it. So go forth, people. Have fun. Guru Tribe or Guru Clan or whatever. And stay safe out there, man. The world's getting really nutty, especially in the past 24 hours. So keep your head on a swivel and watch out for blowback, a.k.a. retaliation. Keep your wits about you and never, ever go anywhere unarmed. Till next time, guys. I'll see y'all later.